Hey, what's up, everybody? The V Club here, otherwise known as the Villain Club. I just put V Club. I might just change it to VC, but we'll see. Alright, so here we are. It's about anything and everything. Nothing is off the table. I'm an open book, and I'll give you my opinion. It may hurt some feelings, it may not. But all in all, it's just talking about stuff that's topical, having a conversation. We could do a back and forth on this. If you have something you wanted to talk about, you want me to cover, let me know. Subscribe, hit the bell icon, stay up to date. As I got daily content every day. We can talk about anything and everything. Like I said, if you got something for me, shit, I'll give you my opinion about it. Without further ado, let's take a look at something that came about up in my neck of the woods, and that's the Oakland A's. All right, so if you don't know, the Oakland A's played their final home game in Oakland. It's not the final game of the season, but it's the final home game in Oakland for the season and forever, because the A's are um, no longer going to be playing in this stadium in Oakland, because they are actually going to be relocating to Las Vegas in the next couple years, but it's not going to be ready as it needs to be built still. So in the meantime, next season they're going to be here. Let me do this right here. They're going to be playing in Sacramento. All right, so that's what they're going to be doing here. They're going to be playing in Sacramento next season. I think they're going to be playing at Raleigh Field in Sacramento, which is actually the minor league stadium for Oakland A's. It's a minor league affiliate, but I think they're going to be playing in that particular stadium. All right, and so I guess in a way it's kind of it's kind of a history to be in the final game at the Oakland Coliseum. As you can see, it's packed because before this, it was never this packed. Maybe at one time, but for years, it was very sparse crowds. It was a dead crowd stadium. And so, that's just what it is. And now the time is up. Why? Why did we get to this point? All right. And the point of all this is that Oakland is a dump. All right. That's the thing about it. Oakland is a dump, and they deserve to lose all they got. All right. So if you go back in time a little bit, they lost the Warriors, right? Warriors moved across the bay to San Francisco. They got a new stadium out there. And the thing about these teams, because they had the Raiders, they had the Warriors, and now the A's. All right. The A's is or the A's. A's A's is dumb too. But maybe I'll just play this in the background, huh? Let me see here. Yeah, let me just do this. I'm gonna play this in the background. So the thing about it is that Oakland, as you can see throughout history, they've had the Raiders, the Warriors, the A's. They got it all. And in a way, it was kind of like the next best thing to San Francisco, right? Because everything costs so much more in San Francisco that you go over to Oakland. It's the city, by the bay, right? Is what they called it. It's the next step when you cross the bridge into and away from San Francisco. That the A's were there, right? So, being that they were neighboring San Francisco, it was a hub of just everything, right? With what they had going on in Oakland. That's why you had major ball teams there, right? Because it's next to the major city of San Francisco. And plus, San Francisco only had so much space, right? At the time, with everything they had going on, they only had the Giants, and the Niners, right? But they shared the stadium initially at Candlestick, right? For all these years. until they decided, the new ownership of San Francisco Giants built a ballpark in San Francisco and all that downtown. But anyhow, this is not about the Giants. This is about the A's. All right, so they have a lot of history here in Oakland because of the teams that have been there for years. Even the Raiders left at one time for LA, but came back, right? And the thing about these things is that each of these teams tried to negotiate a stadium deal with Oakland, all right? And the leadership of Oakland is so piss poor, like they almost didn't care because I think part of it was they thought Oakland may be bluffing that they would never leave, right? Whether it's the Warriors, whether it's the A's, whether it was the Raiders, they in a sense didn't think that none of these teams would leave, right? They didn't take these teams seriously throughout all the history, glory, and the way owners are, right? Then when it was too late, well, then it was too late, right? So that was the thing about it. They started with the Warriors. They tried to negotiate a new stadium in Oakland, but San Francisco was much more attractive. They didn't care. The A's didn't, or the Oakland management, mayor, and all that, city council, they didn't care. Because as good as the Warriors have been for all these years, but they still didn't make a pitch to keep the Warriors in Oakland, that tells you something, right? And then comes the Raiders, right? Raiders left a couple years ago, and now they have a new stadium in Vegas, right? Again, they worked, the Raiders try to work with Oakland to stay in Oakland. New stadium, negotiations, all that stuff. And again, what happened? They weren't taken seriously enough that if they were serious about keeping any of these teams in Oakland, they would have, done more. They would have pitched more to keep these teams. But again, they almost didn't care. Like, don't they realize what's at stake here? The revenue that is going to be lost. Just fans coming from various walks of life, from different cities, only to just let them go. Right? Then you look at, and so the Raiders left. They got their stadium done. They say, hey, we're going to Vegas. All right, we gave you a chance, didn't do it. All right, well, what about the A's now? A's are the last team. You think that Oakland mayor, city council, whatever, right? You would think that they would seriously make a pitch to keep the A's in Oakland, right? Because now they lost two teams. And now this is the last team. All right? And again, they weren't taken seriously. I think they just thought the A's would just stay. And it's like, don't you realize that the owners don't give a damn what the city, cares about? Right? And if they're going to just lowball the owner of the franchise, they're just going to give you a middle finger and say, hey, you know what? We're out of here. They'd rather be, they didn't technically have a stadium set up in Vegas yet when they decide we're going to go to Sacramento. All right, because we're not going to do this lease in Oakland anymore. That tells you something. All right, and so they decide, yeah, we're going to pack our shit and we're leaving. We're going to go to Sacramento, and then we'll figure this out, right? And if we get our deal in Vegas, we get our deal in Vegas. They said screw Oakland. Plus, when you look at Oakland over the last, let's say 10 to 15 years, I would say 10 years. Maybe 15. Nah, maybe 10 years. 10 years. Yeah, 20. It was like for 2014. Ever since the whole deal with let me see here. Yeah, 2014, right when they passed the whole Prop 47, and then things start to deteriorate. Right, you don't see it right away. It takes time when you see things deteriorate. So the whole new way of treating felons, early release, don't charge criminals for crime. You know, just soft on crime, right? And as time went on, things started deteriorating, right? To the point to where Oakland just became a dump, right? Over time, you know, rise in crime. I mean, you name it. Mismanagement, and all they care about is, I think, barely running the city as it is. Because when you think about it, what has Oakland really done for the city? Really nothing. Except just let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. And for something that Oakland has done over the years, because they changed their style. This is Moneyball, which brings me to Billy Beane, right? Billy Beane, you know, he did something that kind of started a trend in some franchises to where they ran a team with one of the lowest payrolls, but still can put out a superior product with a low payroll, which is kind of unheard of, right, at the time. And the A's pulled it off. Well, he got it from his mentor, Sandy Alderson, which was a GM before him. But when you think about it, he pulled this off from, what is it, he got hired in 97 to be working in the front office. Yeah, 97 as general manager, and all the way up to 2015, right? So again, that was kind of the turning point when things started to change, right? Because now he became, I think, executive vice president, something like that, in 2015, and things changed, right, in terms of just things in general, right? Um, the concept was still there, but it wasn't Billy Beane anymore. And so the teams of Oakland that put out as a product wasn't that great. So of course attendance was down, and when you look at that, you have a fairly sparse, crowded stadium over the last few years. So you could kind of blame the people because they didn't show up for their last team in Oakland. And I can understand, because who will want to park their car anywhere in Oakland without the fear of getting their windows smashed, right? And getting robbed or anything like that? Because Oakland is uh, is a breeding ground for crime. All right, let's just say that. With crime up, theft up, and just everything, like I said, being a total dump. I mean, there's no reason to go to Oakland. Now that the A's are gone, or will be gone, there's no reason to be in Oakland anymore. Like, what's the purpose of going to Oakland? All right, and if you look at some of the images of Oakland, this is true. This is a fact. All right, it's just a straight trash city dump. Graffiti everywhere. All right, let's go to this video here. Let's take a look at this. All right, so, oh, my bad. Shit, what happened now? Oh man, I messed up my thing. All right, let me just refresh this here. Oakland. is a dump. And then we'll look at videos of that. Oh, here we go. That was the one I was looking at. See, this is just driving around Oakland.
I don't know if I've ever been to a city that's as vastly run down, abandoned, and out of control as Oakland, California. It's a very ugly, rough,
it's like this all over the city.
Where the laws aren't enforced and the crime is staggering. I drove around Oakland for an entire day in late October of 2021 to see what it was like these days, and I don't recall seeing any part of the city that was welcoming, safe, or clean. It was really quite an experience.
Like, how can you live out here?
Oakland's had trouble for decades now. In the 1990s, it was home to an explosion of gangs and drug use, though a lot of the gang activity here isn't new.
I would go to Oakland from time to time. Early 2000s, right? If anything, early 2000s. When things were better, a little bit more bustling, no graffiti like this. Crime was there, but it wasn't that bad. And then looking at this, let me look at this place. It's
nearly as bad as it was 30 years ago. Then, following the Bay Area tech boom, came a spike in the cost of living, which priced out the lower class. Now the middle class is priced out too, because over the last 5 years, the cost to rent or own a home is pushing even more people out onto the streets. Oakland is drug-filled. It's a graffiti-covered shell of its former self.
Yeah, exactly what he said. Graffiti-filled. It's all over the place.
Or risk being robbed, assaulted, or shot at least in the greater downtown area. Here's a map of the area I covered in my car on this day.
Let's see here. I could tell you what's Oakland like in this area. So let's see here. When you're looking at along this area, there was this Chinatown. This whole area, it's all just old homes and trash all on this side here. West Oakland, they're referred to as. Alright, and then as you travel down there, it's going in more into East Oakland, right? East Oakland, it's more or less the same, right? And as you travel down this way towards the Coliseum, again, it's all just same old developments. A dump of a city. You name it, all right? And I think along this Coliseum area here, where it says Coliseum Industrial, it's breeding ground for crime. Like Hagenberger corridor is where that area is at, and the Hagenberger corridor, it's where the crime has gone way up in that area. Now, they shut down In-N-Out Burger, the first time they ever had to shut down In-N-Out ever, and it's not because of the business itself. It's because they were wanted to take care of their own employees and fear of safety of just customers too. So they say, we're not going to deal with this sort of liability. We're just going to close this shit down. And more businesses along the Hagenberger corridor, along that street, is closed down. All right, now you have the Coliseum as well. They might as well just bulldoze that too. All right, but as you venture out further away from this area of Oakland, like the zoo's not bad. It's actually a nice area. I've been to the zoo a few times. It's actually a very nice area. This is up in the closer to the hills. All this area over here where it says green, all this is kind of bordering the hills.
Oakland can be.
So this whole area way out here is actually a nicer area. Yeah, it's still older development, but it's nicer, right? And even Piedmont, this is where all the kind of like older, more costlier homes are here. I guess you could say older people live out here too, older communities, to where housing prices are actually pretty high, because it's actually a very nice area that old people like to retire and live at. But because of its Oakland's in the proximity of Piedmont, The spillover of theft and break-ins of cars and all that are kind of coming over into Piedmont. And then if you go towards Oakland Airport, people are still getting robbed right outside of Oakland Airport and all that. Shit, I haven't been to Bay Farm Island in ages. I don't even know what it's like there. Alameda is actually a pretty nice suburb or kind of like a neighboring. I don't want to say suburb. It's more like a kind of a urban, quiet city that you got to cross a bridge. This is a tunnel that you got to cross into to get into Alameda, and there are three bridges here, and then a little bridge over here to leave Alameda. It's like a little mini island. The only thing that sustained Alameda then was the Naval Air Station before that used to be here. This big ass piece right here, that where this end of the block is right here to the left, that was all the Naval Air Station before for the Navy. And they would always do like Fleet Week and all that stuff because my dad was in the Navy. But then they shut down, they decommissioned the Alameda Naval Air Station here, and so it's no longer an air base. And what they did was it was open land for years. They used to do different things to this area of land, and I haven't been to this area in years. So I don't even know what they've done to this area, like if they've developed it or what. I know that like the whole thing when they decommission military bases is that it takes like a 20 or 30-year window to do like toxic cleanup and all that stuff. So right now, let's see, they closed in the 90s. So we're at a point where supposedly their whole 20 to 30-year window of cleanup should be complete. But yeah, I haven't been out here in ages. So I don't even know what it looks like out here now. But a little bit of spillover from Oakland, not necessarily from the tunnel side into Alameda here, but on the eastern side of Alameda, because you could easily just walk across these bridges, right? And then spill over. Oakland crime can happen over here. But other than that, Alameda it's a nice, just sleepy community. There's nothing in Alameda to do, but it's a lot nicer than Oakland. But yeah, so that's a little geography lesson at Oakland. But yeah, so Oakland is a dump, all right, and you could blame partly for the people because they didn't support their team, but at the same time, you can't blame none of these owners. And being that we're talking about the A's, you can't blame the A's because they're serious about trying to keep the team in Oakland. They wanted to keep the team in Oakland, but because Oakland is piss poor when it comes to management of the city, and you look at all the mayors that have been in and out, they're corrupt. They don't give a damn. Chang Tao, as much as I would bang her, I mean, she's just plain stupid. You know what I'm saying? And like, she just let the city go, right? And then there was a couple of failures she did as whatever you want to call it, brain farts, whatever it is, where she missed deadlines and all that stuff. And then now she's under investigation for corruption. Yeah, it's just Oakland is just a hot mess, and that's why Oakland A's is gone. So what's the future of the Oakland Coliseum and all that stuff, right? I'll say this. This is my opinion. All right, Oakland is trash, and the future of the Coliseum. Let me just say that they should bulldoze the Coliseum, and they might as well just bulldoze Oakland. All right, because Oakland is just trash. All right, and there is no reason to go to Oakland anymore. Like, they have an international airport for a reason back then, right? But what's the purpose of flying to Oakland Airport now to land at, right? If you got to worry about theft and getting robbed and all that, because there's nothing in Oakland. There's nothing to go to Oakland for. It's just a drive-by town, and you're living in a shithole and expensive cost of living because of the spillover cost of living that's coming from San Francisco. I mean, that's why Oakland is where it's at. So yeah, the A's are gone. The Coliseum is dead. They got a soccer team that's leasing the stadium, and so Sheng Tao, the mayor, acts like she's enthusiastic about that. But get real, all right? That can't save the Coliseum, and they got to just bulldoze that area. Let's look at Oakland Coliseum images. All right, there we go. Oakland Coliseum. All right. I mean, they might as well just bulldoze this place because this is probably pictures of here it is. So this is the Coliseum. This is where the Warriors used to play, right? And then this is the Oakland A's that they also shared with the Raiders. And you telling me that they didn't have any good faith effort into trying to save any of those sports teams there? All right, so yeah, they deserve to lose the A's. They deserve to lose the Raiders. They deserve to lose the Warriors because how can you lose three iconic franchises? Let's just say over the last 10 years, right? So yeah, Oakland sucks ass, and they got a lot of shit they got to worry about. If anything else, all right, they got a lot of shit to worry about that. They got to worry about fixing their crime issues. Maybe instead of defunding police, because that's what they believed in, maybe they should actually start funding police again. More like have a hiring boom. How about start allowing arrest again and stop with the red tape and let law enforcement do their job. Have leadership that will clean up the city, and then maybe, just maybe, you may get a franchise again, but I doubt it. There's no way that Oakland will ever have a franchise again because Oakland just plain sucks. There's so many other priorities. All right. There's so many other priorities.
Barely 24 hours after.
All right. There's barely. I'm copying what he's saying. The thing about it is that there's so many other cities to go to. All right. There's so many other cities that Oakland will never be a priority ever again. All right. So kiss that all goodbye. All right. Because it'll never happen again. All right, that's my thoughts on everything. Let me know what you think. Do you think Oakland will get another franchise team ever again? Even, so they're optimistic about expansion teams and all that. Screw all that shit. There's so many other places to put an expansion team. I'd rather go put one, in San Jose. I know that's San Francisco's territory, but I'd rather put one like in Sacramento or something than a dump like Oakland. But yeah, so that's where it's at. So yeah, let me know what you think. Comment down below. Share with me your thoughts. If you got any topics you want to talk about, let me know and I'll talk about it. But I'm sure you guys agree with me about this assessment. Yeah. So other than that, thanks, and I'll see you next one.